my name is Tashi and welcome to Stitches in Starlight. If this is your first time here, thank you so much for clicking on this video. There are so many voices clamoring for your attention on the internet, and I am super grateful that you saw my little thumbnail and decided to click on it. If you are a returning viewer, thank you so much for coming back. That means you like my particular brand of madness, and that makes you a rad human. Thanks for being here. Okay, so today we're doing a very different thing. We're going to talk about my 2023 knitting plans. There's a lot. So before I start showing you the yarn and the patterns, let's talk about why we're doing this. So I've been talking a lot about the great no-buy of 2023. If you've watched any of my podcast episodes, you have heard me lament about the few fleeces. I said few because the odds of me getting 0 fleeces are very low. But if you've watched any of the podcast videos, you've heard me lament about the few fleeces that I'm getting for 2023, but I'm getting absolutely 0 yarn. Like, that is not negotiable. This madness behind me has to stop. It just has to stop. And I'm a collector. But on the other side, I start to get overwhelmed if I have too much stuff. And it's really hard to be a collector and to get overwhelmed when you have too much stuff, because you are constantly dancing between different desires, which is the desire to bring stuff in and the desire to make it go away. And I'm constantly battling between the desires to hoard all the stuff and also get it out, because it's breaking my heart seeing all of it. So the great no buy of 2023 is happening. And the subtitle is the 10,000 yard stash down. That is my goal. My goal is to move 10,000 yards of yarn out of my stash in 2023. That includes hand spun. So it's not just gonna be commercial yarn, but I'm really trying to prioritize commercial yarn because I really do enjoy knitting with my hand spun. But that does mean that all the yarn that I bought to become beautiful knit things is not becoming beautiful knit things because I've been prioritizing hand spun. So the goal is to get 10,000 yards by the end of 2023 out of my stash. That is actually not as unattainable as you think, because for me, at a minimum, if I knit a garment, I'm using 1,300 yards, like at a minimum. So if I knit a few garments, knit a few accessories, I'm gonna get 10,000 yards. So what I did to promote the stash down, oh my God, this is so heavy. To promote the stash down, I went and I shopped my stash and I picked all this yarn. This is only like single skeins for each project, you guys. This isn't even like sweater quantities. I went and I shopped my stash and I picked 13 patterns that I was interested in knitting. 13 patterns that I was really, really interested in knitting that I wanted to get done. The goal is to get through 8 of them. So I figured if I made a make 9, I was going to get bored and I did not want to do the make 9. So instead, I did 13 to pick 8, because that way I'm giving myself the illusion of choice, but also sticking in the confines of the challenge that I've issued myself. And if I get through 8 of those patterns, that already is the 1,300 yards that I want to move. That's not the number. That already is the 10,000 yards that I want to move out of my stash. So what we're going to do today is we're going to talk about the 13 patterns. Well, there's 13 garment patterns. There's a few accessories. There's a lot. We're going to talk about the patterns. I'm going to show you the yarn I picked. We're going to talk about why. I have the title page from each of the patterns printed to help keep me accountable, because I'm not going to remember exactly the names of these things and I'm not going to remember the designers. So I use my iPad to do all my knitting, by the way. I use the GoodNotes app so I can scribble all over my patterns, so I don't use paper patterns. This paper will get recycled somehow. I'm doing 10,000 yards because I've watched Tiny Human Knits, and I think she's doing 10,000 yards, and I thought that was really cool. And also, if you're not following Jackie at Woolen Oaks, she's been really inspiring when she talks about her yarn audits. And it's been really inspiring me to look at what I have, because I have a lot, and I also live in a very small space. So if I could get some of that weeded out, mind you, this isn't even the spinning fiber. This is just the yarn, the commercial yarn. The spinning fiber, it's a lot. The bottom line is it's a lot, and it has to get dealt with. So that was enough of an introduction. Let's get to the patterns, because that's what you're here for. All right. We're going to do this in no particular order. We're literally just going to do this in the order of these papers in my hand. So the first pattern on the list is the Hello from My Colors crop, which I bought all the yarn for, and it's actually already in a project bag because I had every intention of casting this on this year and I never did. But all the yarn for this is in a project bag. And I've decided to leave it in a project bag because it's a bunch of miscellaneous skeins. If you haven't seen the Hello from My Colors, it is a all over color work crop top designed by Jessie May. I'm probably not gonna knit mine as a crop top because I'm 6 feet tall, and like if I knit crops to pattern, I'm making bralettes, so I'm probably gonna knit it a little bit longer than pattern. But I will show you the yarn. Okay, so it's an all over colorwork sweater, and you need 5 skeins of yarn. So I've decided to knit mine out of Knit Picks palette because that would probably be the most affordable option, because palette is like stupid cheap, and they have a really good color palette. So here is my color palette. I have the green in this is, oh, Knit Picks, do you not label your skeins? Oh, Clove Heather. The yellow is Turmeric. I have Tea Rose, Oyster Heather, and Bouquet Heather. So that is my plan for knitting the Hello for My Colors crop. This palette is Tashi bait. Literally, remember I was telling you how I only wear olive green and like clay and like mustard? Like literally all those colors are in there. I bought enough yarn to knit it because I saw a few people mod it and knit it full length sleeves, but like a balloon sleeve. So that's probably what I'm gonna do. I'm gonna mod it to be like, even if it's not balloon sleeve, maybe like elbow sleeve, and then just not be as cropped. Because if I knit it to pattern, again, I'm tall. And that is not going to work because I'm not trying to flash my boobies at everybody. So I'm going to have to knit it a little bit longer. But I think that's going to be my summer, maybe like my March to April cast on, so that I have it by summer. Because if I cast it on by summer, I'm going to be wearing it in the winter. That's how it goes. Okay, so that's one. Again, these are in no particular order. No particular order. These are just 13 patterns that I really want to knit for 2023. And I'm going to pick from those. Okay. So next is Magnolia Bloom by Camila Vad, and I'm sure everyone's seen it. It's that like bulky sweater with the like lace yoke and the baubles. Also, if you hear like hissing or like clanking, I live in an old apartment building in New York City. What you are hearing is the heater. So sorry if that's super distracting. It was extra loud yesterday because it felt like negative a million degrees outside. So if you hear it, it is just so I stay nice and toasty and warm. Sorry if that disturbs you. So here's my yarn for Magnolia Bloom. Is it gonna focus? What is it focusing on? There it is. Okay, great. So here's my yarn for Magnolia Bloom. It's designed to be 1 strand of worsted weight yarn and 1 strand of mohair held double. So I am knitting mine out of Green Mountain Spinnery Mountain Mohair in the color Moss, and then knitting for Olive Soft Silk Mohair in the color Dusty Olive. I got this at my first Rhinebeck. So this yarn has been in my stash for over a year. I bought it at the Green Mountain Spinnery booth. I was super excited to go visit the Green Mountain Spinnery booth because I love that farm yarn. It's Tashi bait. And this is a single ply worsted weight yarn. And it's, what's in here? 30% mohair, 70% wool. And it's a 2-ounce skein with 140 yards per 2-ounce skein. So these are 50-gram skeins. That's why they're so small. And then everyone knows knitting for olive mohair. It's a staple, and I think these two together are going to make a really lovely fabric, and it's going to be really warm, but also because it's a singles woolen spun yarn, it's going to be really airy and it's not going to be super heavy. A lot of the yarns on my list are woolen spun yarns because that's just what I'm attracted to, but it also means that all the worsted spun yarns in my stash don't get knit up, and will probably just get repurposed or donated because I am probably never going to reach for them. Okay, so number 3 is the Yesteryears pullover by Max the Knitter. And Max, first of all, Max's aesthetic is wild. I love how geographic, that's not the word. I love how geometric Max's colorwork designs are. They're all very like big, bold shapes. And he had designed this for the Corey Worsted book. And I waited till the pattern was released separately because I didn't want the book. So I've been lusting after this pattern for a very long time, and I was waiting for him to release it separately, and it is finally out. So now I get to make it. So here is my yarn. And this is a very odd choice for me because it's a very cool toned purple, and I don't really wear cool tones. But the sample that they had knit was this gray and black, like really striking colorwork, and I thought I wanted to recreate that, but I have so much gray already in this pile. So when I had grabbed this, I grabbed purple. So this is the Cascade 220 Heathers, which is like Peruvian wool, I think. I don't think this is superwash. I can't remember. And I don't know what color this is. I should have checked my notes. I'll put it on the screen because these labels have numbers but not colors, and I know what color it is because the color, I have everything in my Ravelry stash. But the black, which is like a charcoal, it's not even like a true black, it's like a charcoal color, is going to be the main color, and then the purple is going to be the color work. So the purple is going to be what's against my neck, and then it's going to like fade into the black, and I think that's going to be really pretty. Also, it's going to be really interesting to knit with a cool tone yarn because I almost never knit with cool tones, and I'm looking at the rest of this bag and everything else is a warm tone in there. So that's probably my only cool tone. I mean, I guess gray. Gray is a cool tone, but also gray is a neutral, and I don't know. So there you go. That's for the Yesteryears pullover by Max the Knitter. Okay. So the next pattern on my list is for, Andrea has already, you know, I don't know if everyone knows this. Andrea Mowry's on medical leave, but she did say that she was still going to do the DRK March to May KAL. And there are a lot of Andrea Mowry patterns on this list. I have like 3. But I really, really want to make this for the March to May KAL. So I am going to put this away till then. And what I really want to make is the Trinigan cardigan. She designed it with Spin Cycle yarns. But I just finished applying my Advent spin. If you hung out with me from like my Vlogmas videos, you would see that I was working on the Nest Fibers Advent spin. And I just applied it yesterday. This is not even finished. I literally have not finished it yet, so I can show it to you in this video. And then I'm going to finish it and put it away till March. But I figured if I cast it on in March, I'll definitely get it done by like springtime, which is when I'm really gonna wanna layer this over like t-shirts and like over, it's like this beautiful oversized cardigan silhouette, and I think it's gonna be brilliant over like a t-shirt or like a sundress. So anyways, without further ado, here's what I'm knitting it out of. So here's my yarn. So this is Peace Fleece worsted in the color Grassroots, and it is a tweed yarn. It's an olive green based tweed yarn, and I thought part of the reason why I picked the tweed is because the tweed is kind of like colorful, and I thought it would be a really good complement to my Nest Advent spin because the Advent spin has a lot of color in it, but I feel like the tweed, the Grassroots against it will look like a contrasty, like a neutral. So I did go on Ravelry and I looked at a bunch of pictures of people who had knit up this color, and it doesn't read super colorful. By the time it's knit in like stockinette, it reads like a neutral. So I think it'll be a really good base for this with all this bright colors in it. Also, I didn't want to knit this with like black or white. Like I thought it would be fun to pair it with another color. I think this is gonna make a really fun. Hello, camera, focus. Okay, I think this is going to make a really fun cardigan together, and I'm really excited to cast this on in March. So once I'm done with this video, it's going to take me forever to put all this yarn back in the shelf where it belongs because my shelf is organized by sweater quantity. Someone asked if I would do a yarn stash video, and it would literally take me my whole life to do a yarn stash video because I probably have at least 20. I said sweater. I probably have at least 20 sweater quantities, and for me to sit down and try to do a whole yarn stash video would take very long. But on the bright side, because my stash is organized by sweater quantities, like you see all the, it's kind of like color coded, it made it really easy to go in and figure out where stuff was, and then I'll just have to put all this back until I'm ready to knit it. Oh, so next is I still don't know how you say this, if it's gib or jib. And I think Andrea was wearing it in one of her most recent podcast videos. I probably should just go watch it to see what you call it. But I'm not going to wax too long about this because if you've watched any of the podcast videos, you know this. I'm knitting it out of my large Marge spin. So I spun this from Fleece. There we go. That's the focus. So I spun this from Fleece. This is Large Marge's fleece from Nystock Farms. Large Marge was a CVM Rambouillet Border Leicester cross. And I processed this and spun it myself, and I have just enough for a sweater quantity. So if you've watched episode 3 of the podcast, you've already seen this swatched up, but I am mentioning it on this list because it is in my 2023 knitting plans. This is one of the ones that's not negotiable. This is definitely getting knit up. There's like 3 or 4 patterns in here that are non-negotiable patterns, and then the rest of them are like pick from, like choose your own adventure. But that one's not negotiable. That one's definitely getting knit up. And I will not talk too long about it because I've talked a lot about that spin already. And I've talked a lot about that yarn. So that would be, I think 4. No, 5? That's 5. So number 6 is, let's just do all the Andrea Mowry patterns right now, is a pink velvet. So here is what I want to knit my pink velvet from. And this is the other yarn I got from Rhinebeck at Green Mountain Spinnery. This is their Lana. So it's 100% fine wool, 2-ply woolen spun fingering weight. And it has 400 yards per ounce? No, per 4 ounces. 4 ounces. Per 4 ounces. And this is the color Ancho. And this, I love this against my skin. It is coming out a little bit warmer on camera than it is in person. In person is a little bit cooler. Everything's warming up a bit today. But look at how that's gonna look so good against me. And the pink velvet was written for Ching Fiber Suri, which is a DK weight Suri. And I found DK weight Suri by Blue Sky Fibers. It's their blush Suri DK. This is the color Toasted Marshmallow. It's 67% Suri alpaca, 22% merino, 11% bamboo, and it's 142 yards per 50 grams. So it's heavier than like your typical Suri mohair, which is going to give you like 200 yards or 200 plus. Because I feel like a 4-round skein of mohair is like 470 yards. So it might be like almost 250. So this is considerably heavier. This is going to knit at DK weight, and I mean, you can't go wrong with like a neutral and like this really fun color. If I was brave, I would cast this on and say this would be my Valentine's Day sweater, but I have so much going on that I honestly don't know if I would get it done by Valentine's Day. But this is like peak V-Day energy to me. It's just beautiful. I'm really excited for it. I haven't figured out which in this pile is my Rhinebeck sweater because I really want to decide now which one of these is my Rhinebeck sweater and then get it done, because I didn't have anything new for Rhinebeck last year besides my hat, because I installed and installed and installed, and then I ran out of time. So I will decide which of those are going to be my Rhinebeck sweater, which of this category, or when Andrea releases her actual Rhinebeck sweater, I might make that. Again, that's why I'm giving myself room. The goal is just 10,000 yards. This is the framework, but I'm giving myself license to pick up and make other things if something strikes my fancy. So, carrying on. Okay, so next up I have the Morchella cardigan by Whitney Hayward, and it was designed for Harrisville Designs, and I don't have any knit. I'm lying. I only have one knit cardigan in my stash. I only have one knit cardigan, and I love cardigans, but part of the reason why I'm not super attracted to cardigans is the idea of knitting things flat. Ooh, is such a drag. Such a drag. But I finally figured out Norwegian purling, and so I'm very much feeling more brave about taking on knit cardigan, like knit flat garments, because purling's been very hard for me because if you don't know this, I knit left to right. So purling is harder for me to wrap my stitch so it doesn't get twisted. And I know I could twist my pearls and then knit through the back loop on my knits to untwist my pearls, but I don't know if I would remember that, because then I would have to remember it. My brain, I don't know if my brain, it took me long enough to figure out how to untwist my stitches because my stitches were all twisted in the beginning because I taught myself to knit online, and because I knit left to right, I have to wrap my stitches differently, and I was wrapping the way people who knit from right to left would, and all my stitches were twisted. And it took me so long to figure out how to untwist my stitches that the idea of purposefully twisting my stitches to make it easier to purl was scary to me. So I've been practicing Norwegian purling, and it is making sense. It's been zooming. I'm actually in the process of knitting the Weekend Slipover by Petite Knit, which is knit flat for a lot of it. And the flat stockinette is going actually pretty quickly. I'm really happy with how that's going. So I said all that to say this, that I'm no longer afraid of like garments that are knit flat. I've knit like 1 or 2 drop shoulder pieces that required you to knit things flat, and it was just like, oh, please kill me. But I don't feel that way anymore. But that is irrelevant because the cardigan that I picked has no purling. The Morchella cardigan is a cartridge rib cardigan. So you just knit and slip. It is the, like, it's such a smart way of doing ribbing. You just knit and slip, and then on the wrong side, you slip then knit, and then you knit then slip, and then you slip then knit, and there's no purling. And it gives the look of brioche, but without all that hard. I mean, don't get me wrong, I love brioche, but I feel like cartridge rib is a lot more accessible than brioche. So anyways, I'm planning on knitting the Morchella. I'm planning on knitting the Morchella cardigan by Whitney Hayward. And here's the yarn, because I haven't even shown you the yarn yet. This is Peace Fleece DK in the color Morning Rose. I have so much Peace Fleece in my stash because it is listen, the reality situation is it's cheap. It's affordable. I think this is like $12 a skein for 4 ounces. 350 yards, 4 ounces. It's Navajo, Rambouillet, and Mohair. And I was attracted to Peace Fleece because it's cheap. And also, I was trying to get away from superwash merino. So I have so much Peace Fleece in my stash to knit up. It is kind of textured and kind of toothy, but I like that. And a lot of the colors are like marled. And like very few of the colors besides the neutral black, white, and gray are one color. Like, I don't know if you could tell this, if you can see this here. Nope, it's just looking like one color. But looking at this skein, there's pink and there's orange and there's gray and there's green. If you've ever had a skein of Peace Fleece in your hand, you know exactly what I'm talking about. It's a great yarn, really affordable, great handle to it. And so that is my plan for knitting. Also, like, who doesn't want like a dusty pink romantic cardigan moment? Like me, I want it. I want it. That's why I'm gonna knit it. Okay, moving on. Oh, so next up I have the Azor? Why can't I figure out how any of these patterns are pronounced today? I have the Azor pullover by Orlane Souche, and I'll get the yarn. Okay, so the Azor pattern is a colorwork yoked pullover. And part of the reason why I'm knitting it is my Rhinebeck crew, which I think they're the young knitters. I think they have a Zoom hangout that I never get to make because I'm always at work. But my Rhinebeck crew that I hang out with, they've all decided that they're going to cast on the Azor sweater as a New Year's Eve cast on. So we're actually going to have like a cast on party and it's going to be rad. So we're casting on the Azor sweater. So here's what I've decided to knit mine out of. This is Hudson and West Weld. Forge is their worsted base, Weld, in the black color, which I have no idea what it's actually called. It's black. If you go on their website, you'll find Raven. That's what it's called. It's called Raven. And I have a sweater quantity of this, and I love the Hudson and West. Like, Hudson and West was the first time that I had seen like a bigger company do non-merino yarns, and I was just like, oh, this is exciting, because I'm super passionate about like different breeds of wool in your yarn being like accessible. And I met the people behind it at Rhinebeck, and I thought it was really cool. I've knit one sweater out of Hudson and West Forge, and I have 2 other sweater quantities of it behind me. And this is my first sweater quantity of Weld, and Weld is their fingering weight base. And then I'm going to hold it with, my colorwork's going to be out of some hand spun Rambouillet. So here are the cakes. So this is, I've been calling this the wrong color for a very long time. And now I don't remember what the right color is because I keep calling it the wrong color. But this is dyed by Three Waters Farm. And I want to call it Darkest Before Dawn. But it's called Dramatic Dusk. That's why I keep wanting to call it Darkest Before Dawn. It's called Dramatic Dusk. And it has purple and orange and pink. I'll show you the other side. And green in there. I have it already caked up because I'm going to knit my swatch either today or tomorrow. And then it's going to get knit up into a sweater, and I'm really excited about this. This is definitely going to be one of my Rhinebeck sweaters, because if I'm going to hang out with my Rhinebeck crew and we're all making, Lord have his mercy, and we're all making matching sweaters, then I should wear it to Rhinebeck. So I'm really excited about this. Now, this is the only fingering weight sweater on this list because I don't enjoy torturing myself. Now, people, I know a few people think that like fingering weight sweaters are the be-all end-all, and that I am a coward for not attempting them. I know this is a hot take, but I think they're terrible. Personally, I don't enjoy fingering weight sweaters. I don't enjoy knitting on toothpicks. I don't enjoy knitting on like size 3 needles. A whole garment for me on size 3 needles is my version of the 9th circle of hell. So this is the only fingering weight sweater on my list, and that's because all my friends are making it. And that's why I'm making it. Everything else on this is at least DK weight. There's a tons of worsted weights. There's lots of DK weight held with mohair. Oh, I lied. The pink velvet sweater's fingering weight. Why did I do that? It will stay on the list. But now I have to think long and hard about it. It's gonna get... I will prioritize it because I don't like knitting fingering weight sweaters. So we'll say that this year is the year of the fingering weight sweaters. And I will get... Oh my god, the hello from my colors is also, why are there so many fingering weight sweaters on my list? Who made this list? Okay. Meltdown over. I wanted to have at least one new to den cast on my list. I have so much. I don't have so much. I have a decent amount. I know people who go hard for Nutri-Gen probably have more than me, but I have 3 600-gram quantities of Nutri-Gen and then 2 300-gram quantities of Nutri-Gen. So let's do some quick math. So that's just 600 times 4. I have 2,400 grams of Nutri-Gen in my stash that has not become anything. So I decided to put one Nutri-Gen pattern on my list. This is the color Corsabenia. I'm probably saying this wrong, but it's a color Corsabenia. I bought it in last year. I bought it in 2021. Here it is. Focus, please. There it is. It's gray, but also not quite gray, and it has like pink tones in it and like browns in it, and it's really lovely. It's a really warm tone taupey gray. I think it's gonna make a brilliant knit fabric, and I'm going to knit it into the Versal. I literally cannot pronounce any pattern title today. I'm gonna go get the sheet so I can tell you who designed it, but I'm pretty sure it's Versal. Okay. I still don't know if it's Versal or Versal, so there's that. It's by Albiona McLaughlin. She designs a lot of patterns in Nutri-Gen, and the people at Hona Ok Air work with her a lot. So I know she's like a bigger name in the Nutri-Gen community. The Versal pullover is just like a saddle shoulder like sweatshirt. And I think this is going to be gorgeous in it. And I have 6 cakes of this, so I'm confident that I have enough. Nutri-Gen, like any of these unspun yarns, is hard to like buy, especially because Nutri-Gen is not like a standardized strand. Like some colors you get more yardage per 100 grams than others, depending on like the grist of the wool and the density of the wool. Like something that's finer wool, just spinning knowledge, something that's finer wool, you're going to get more yards per 4 ounces than something like a long wool. Like if I spun a Leicester long wool and a Rambouillet the exact same way, I'm going to get more yardage for the Rambouillet than I am for the Leicester long wool, because the Leicester long wool is a more dense fiber than the Rambouillet. So because the Nutri-Gen blends are all different, you don't really know how much yardage you're getting per cake. So I have 6 cakes of this, which I think is enough, and I think you hold it double on like something ridiculous like a size 10 needle, which I'm just like, yes, actually, let me hold size 10 needles so I can knit this like in my sleep. It's gonna be so fast. I don't like knitting on anything larger than a size 10. There are no bulky weight sweaters besides the Magnolia Bloom, which I think you hold 10s. Anything larger than a 10 just feels really hard in my hands. My sweet spot is 5 to 8. Those are the needle sizes where I'm happy, 5 to 8. I will do a 4, maybe. I will go up to 10, sure. Don't give me like size 15 because I'm going to be really annoyed and really unhappy really quickly. It's not happening. So here's my Nutri-Gen cast on, which I'm really happy about. When I do my unfinished project audit, which will be filmed next week, because I had every intention of filming it in the same video with this one, and then I realized that would be a very long video and you guys would probably be sick of me by the time it was over. So I'm going to do my unfinished project audit separately. But when I do that, I do have a sweater that I did cast on in one of my Nutri-Gens. And maybe I'll make some more progress on it this week, because now that I'm holding that unspun yarn, I really want to knit it and just go. Okay, 2 more sweaters. One of them, 3 more sweaters, I lied. We'll do the ones that I've showed you already. So if you watch the podcast, also, if you haven't, feel free to go back and watch the back episodes, because the back episodes are cool. I think they're cool. If you watch the podcast, you have seen that I've already talked about this and I've already swatched for this, but this is for the Helia pullover by Joanna Eng. Pretty sure, yeah, it is Joanna Eng. It's the Helia pullover, and it's gonna be my first like cable sweater. So here's what I plan on knitting it out of. I should probably hold it like this. Okay. This is hand spun. This is a Clun Forest BFL Cross lamb's fleece that I processed and spun myself into this 2-ply woolen spun yarn. And then this is knitting for Olive Mushroom Rose. It's on a cone instead of the little, you know, cakes. But it is the same yarn. It's just on a cone. And I'm going to knit the Helia pullover out of this pairing together. I'm pretty jazzed about it because the cables are only on the sleeves. So it'll be a really good introduction to cabling versus like an all over pullover that would probably make me see Jesus. So we'll try that, and then if we like that, then we'll try some more aggressive like cable projects. But this is another one that's non-negotiable. All my hand spun projects are non-negotiable because I really want to like knit my hand spun. Everything else is like, we'll see what happens. So again, I've already swatched for this. If you want to see what this looks like swatched up, it's in episode 3, which is my hand spun swatches video. I swatched for this one and like 2 others. Okay. The other project that you might have already seen is the, okay, I'm losing yarn. The other project you might have already seen is my swatch for the Great Gingham Raglan, also by Jessie May. And here's my yarn. Here we go. So this is the hand spun cake. This is a combo spin of Quiet Reds and Quiet Contrasts by Three Waters Farm. It has like blues, reds, creams, a few a few copper shades, and then this is Rambouillet yarn. It's Sea Cliff Fibers in the color Odette. And I'm really happy about this. This is a Rambo and Merino, so it's going to make a really squishy, soft next to skin fabric. They're both woolen spun, so they're going to be really warm and lightweight. Should I just go back to bed and start over and try again tomorrow? They're going to be really warm and lofty and lightweight because they're all woolen spun yarns. And if you know anything about yarn, woolen spun yarns have a lot of air in them. So they trap air to close to your skin and they keep you nice and warm. But because there's so much air in them, they tend to be very lightweight and like kind of weigh nothing. So I'm really excited about this. This is the other cast on that's non-negotiable because it's hand spun. So now there are 2 more sweaters on the list. This is for the sweater number 18 by My Favorite Things. Is it number 18? Because all the sweaters have numbers. This is for the sweater number 18 by My Favorite Things. And this is for the Youngfolk Knits Bougie Sweater KAL. So she's doing a knit along where you just knit like a bougie sweatshirt. And so this is going to be my bougie sweatshirt. This is another Cascade 220 Heathers. I wish they would put the names on this instead of just the colors. And then I have Knitting for Olive, Dusty Sea Green. And that's what these look like together. So this is significantly cooler than this, but I think this together is going to make a really cool fabric. This has like, it's kind of marled. It has different shades of green in it. I'm really excited for this. The sweater number 18 is a textured pullover. So it has lots of, it looks like there's garter, some ribbing, some eyelets, some like weird lace sections in it. It's one of those things that you're not going to get bored with. And as much as I love a good stockinette sweater like everybody else where you could just, you know, put on an audiobook and zoom, I think it's nice to have something that's a little bit engaging, but also not terrifying cables because God forbid. So I'm really excited about this. This is probably, I mean, I'm pretty sure 100% this is going to get made because it's for that make along, and the make along starts December 28th. So I probably should cake this up and get swatching because the make along starts soon. How many things am I going to cast on at the beginning of the year? 2. Okay, 2. I'm going to cast this one on, and I'm going to cast on my Azor pullover. And we'll see. The problem, this is why I have this issue, is I just want to make all the things at the same time and there aren't enough hours in the day. And eventually I'll just quit my job and knit full time because nursing is interfering with my knitting and it shouldn't do that. Okay, the last sweater on my list is the Cordy pullover, which is by, oh no, so I didn't print that page because it's in a pom-pom book and I have the actual book, so I didn't, I think they're sisters. Now I'm like, I don't want to make any statements because I don't know if they're correct. But I think it's 2 sisters that designed a whole collection of knits and they released them in pom-pom. And everyone, I'm pretty sure everyone and their mother has knit the Cordy. This is my Cordy color, my Cordy palette. So the gray, it's Peace Fleece worsted, which is what the sweater is designed in. And the gray is Negotiation Gray. This is going to be my main color. And then for my contrast colors, I have Baku Black, Morning Dove, and Arctic White. And I think this together is going to be a really fun color work project. I think it's knit on size 8s or size 9s. Are Are you noticing a trend? Size 8s or size 9s, and I'm really excited to get it cast on. I love knitting colorwork, especially once I got a handle of knitting colorwork with 2 hands. I feel like when I knit colorwork with 2 hands, I just look like a cool person because I'm like, choo, 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 choo. I mean, that's what I think I look like when I'm knitting, but in reality, I'm probably like, which no one wants to see. So there you go. So those are all the sweaters on my list. I did get through all 13, and I got through all 13 significantly quicker than I thought I was going to. So I didn't do a lot of like chit chat. I have 2 accessories. I'm giving myself complete license to knit as many hats as I want. I love a good handspun hat moment. I've knit 4 handspun hats this year. Literally the only projects I've finished this year are 4 handspun hats. So I'm giving myself as much license to knit hats as I want, because each hat is like 200 yards to take off the list of the 10,000 yard stash down. So I'm not even like including hats on this list. So I have 3 accessories. So the first one, I want to knit the Montana Mountain Cowl by Andrea Mowry. And I think she does an accessories knit along in like the late spring or early summer. So if she does that, I'll cast it on then. But here's my yarn. So this is handspun. I try to label my handspun. I don't always succeed. But this is handspun. So I'll fold it so you can kind of see the colors in it. There you go. Now you can kind of see the colors in it. This is Just a Glimpse by Hello Yarn Fiber Club. I got 507 yards. Who was she with this spin? 507 yards. That's bananas. I got 507 yards in 4 ounces, which is a lot of yarn. This must be like really, really like low density, high grist yarn. Every time I pick up my own handspun, I get distracted. Any of you spinners out there do that, where you pick up a skein of your own handspun yarn and then you have to like stop and pet it and stare at it for a few minutes because you're just like, how did I make this? Who was she? What was she thinking? No, just me. Okay. And then I'm holding it. The Montana Mountain Cowl is a colorwork cowl by Andrea Mowry. Colorwork cowl by Andrea Mowry. And I have this other skein of Lana. This is the color Playa. And I had only gotten one because I'd gotten it to make a hat. But I think these 2 together will make a really cool cowl. And if I have more, I could just do a 2-color brioche hat. I'm pretty sure I'm going to have more because I have 500 yards of this and 400 yards of this. And I don't think either project, I don't think the Montana Mountain Cowl needed that much. So I might have enough to knit a 2-color brioche hat, which I think would be really cool. Or I could hold these 2 together and make a marled hat, which would also be really cool. And get like a matching set of accessories. So that's probably what I'm going to do. But I really like these 2 yarns together. This has like equal parts cool tones and warm in it. There's like orange, and then there's purple and olive green and teal. It was a really fun spin. It's also, I love the handle of this because it's like that South American, no, it's American, it says limited edition American wool. It's from a wool pool, so you don't know what's in it. But I'm pretty sure there's like some cheviot in it. Cheviot. There's definitely something a little bit toothier and a little bit crisper in it. But those are just the wools I'm attracted to. And speaking of accessory sets, I have yarn in here for the Opus cowl and hat. I had every intention of knitting the Opus shawl when Max, I'm a huge Max the Knitter fan. I don't know how to make that clear. But I had every intention of knitting the Opus shawl when Max released that last year. And I cast it on. It's actually still in this bag, so I can pull it out and show it to you. I cast it on and realized that I did not enjoy it because, again, and maybe I'm not going to give it another go. But part of the reason why I didn't enjoy it is because there's so much purling in it. I think I'm better at it now, but like, here's how far I had gotten before I gave up. Like, this is literally how far I had gotten before I gave up. But I loved this color palette so much that I just kept it in the bag together. And then Max heard my prayers. I mean, I don't know. Was I praying? Who knows? Max heard my desires for me to use this color palette of yarn up and release the Opus cowl and the Opus hat. So I'm going to take that same yarn and make a hat and a cowl, and have another matching set of accessories. This is Autumn and Indigo. Where is the focus today? There we go. This is Autumn and Indigo yarn. I don't remember. This is the local sport. The local sport base. I actually don't even know if she's still dyeing. Her website still has yarn on it, but this is her local sport base. And I have no idea what colors these are. This was, I think the yellow was Old Gold. This was just gray. I think this is Storm. And I don't remember what the purple is. But I thought this was just a really fun color palette. And so I'm going to knit the cowl and the hat. And I like having a cowl on the, like I just like having a cowl on the needles because it's like quick in the round knitting. It's also good travel knitting because I don't, listen you guys, I lost a whole work in progress and I have no idea where it is. I traveled somewhere with a work in progress. I came back home and I've yet to find it. So I either left it where it went or brought it home and completely lost it. But I like having something on the needles when we're doing like road trips to see Josh's parents. Because Josh's mom lives all the way up north, like 4 or 5 hours from where we do. And I don't want to talk to him all that time while we're traveling. So I like to have something on the needles. So that is my other accessory set. And my last accessory set doesn't have yarn yet because it's not yarn, but it will eventually be yarn. I have this. So I bought this from Beth last year. This is Ivy and Wine on Cormo. And I bought this from Beth. I have 8 ounces of this. I have 2 of these. And I bought this with every intention of knitting it into a Cinnabar shawl. And let me tell you about getting this. This sold out before I could get my hands on it like 3 weeks in a row. It was a very, very stressful ordeal. By the time I finally got my hands on it, I had to like sneak out of work for like 10 minutes to be in the bathroom with my phone in my hand so I could, because Beth only releases 2 of one. Now she has a dye to order thing you can do, but at the time she was only releasing 2 of one color at a time. So like if you were not on that website where this color dropped, you were not getting it. It was not happening. But I lucked out and I had every intention of making a Cinnabar shawl with this and I never did. So this year I'm getting this spun up and I'm going to make a Cinnabar shawl out of it. When I finish spinning it, I will decide if I'm going to do it with an oatmeal like cream base or I mean main color or a gray main color. And then when I do that, I'll just go shop my fleece stash, find a fleece that feels good and spin up the fleece for the main color. And then this will be, I'm hoping to have this done. This is probably going to be my birthday project. I don't really want a birthday sweater this year, but I really want this to be my birthday project because I love these colors. And I bought this fiber around my birthday last year. So I really want this to be my birthday of 2023 project. Also, that gives me plenty of time to spin this. I mean, who am I lying to? I don't need a lot of time to spin this. I could probably spin this in a week. I mean, I could easily spin this in a week. But then I will have, I think I'm going to take my time with this. I won't rush it. This feels more like a process spin and not a product spin. Every now and then I have a product spin where I'm like, just gotta get it done, get it done, get it done. But this feels more like a project, like a process spin where I like take my time, especially because it's gonna be my birthday treat to myself. So I'm gonna spin this up first and then based on how the finished yarn looks, then I'll pick a main color. But those are my 2023. I'm grabbing my list to make sure I talked about everything on it. And I did get to everything on, oh, the one thing that I didn't mention is the other project that I'm giving myself plenty of room for, even though there's no yarn here, is the Shiftigan. Andrea Mowry is finally releasing a cardigan version of the Shifty, and I actually started spinning for it. And I have not made very much progress because I keep getting distracted and putting something new on my spinning wheel, but I have started spinning. I already pulled colors for it, and I've already started spinning for it. So when I get that yarn done, whenever I get that yarn does not have like a finish by date. It's literally whenever I get that yarn done, I will be casting on the Shiftigan. I'm waiting to see what the gauge is because I'm pretty sure it's going to be in spin cycle because that's what made the Shifty so popular. I'm pretty sure it's going to be in spin cycle because that's one of the things that made the Shifty so popular was it the fun color changing yarns. So I figure if I spin my default sport weight yarn, I should be okay. But I am taking a really long time with the spin because I want to make sure that it is in sport weight yarn before I finish spinning, because what if she releases it in like the Dream State, which is like their worsted base, which is a DK weight yarn, and then all my sport weight yarn is useless for this particular project. So I have been slowly working on that spin because I'm waiting to see what the yarn looks like, what the specs for the pattern looks like, and as far as I know, it's coming in early January. So I've been taking my time because I need 24 ounces. That's a huge spin, Jesus Christ. I need 24 ounces for that project. So what I started was I started one of the contrast colors. I have 3 braids that I'm holding, that I'm going to use for the main color, but I don't want to start that spin because if it's a DK weight yarn, I'm spinning a sport weight yarn, then that's all the 12 ounces and I have to start over. So what I've been spinning is one of the contrast colors, because if it's the wrong weight, then I could just throw it out. Not throw it out. I could use it on something else and I could pick a new color to use for the contrast color. So I've been slowly spinning, like very slowly spinning, because I've been just waiting for the specs. And I'm pretty sure if I had like, I'm sure someone has asked what yarn she's using for it, but I don't feel like trolling through the internet and like finding out. I'm just gonna wait. And also I had plenty of other things to distract me. So now that is everything on my list. So let's quickly talk about the 10,000 yard stash down. I was talking to my friends Kendra. Kendra's at Balanced Skein on Instagram and YouTube. If you're not watching Kendra, get your life. Kendra's delightful. And Felicia, who's at One Whip Wonder. And they are also doing a no-buy. So the no-buy stash down goes hand in hand. I figured it's kind of like intuitive. Like if you want to get your stash down, don't bring more stash in. That defeats the purpose of stashing down. Yes. So we're doing the Great No-Buy of 2023 and a stash down. And Felicia has gone ahead and set up a Discord server. So if you're on Discord and you're interested in doing a no-buy stash down and you want people to kind of be held accountable to, and you want to post pictures of the thing you didn't buy, because that's going to be me. That's going to be me. Come on over to the Discord server. I know my problem is going to be when shearing happens. Because listen, I don't buy yarn anymore. I'm like, why buy it? I can make it. I don't need to buy that stuff. My problem is going to be when shearing starts and all the lamb fleeces pop up on the market. That's going to be me. It's just going to be me sharing pictures of all the fleece that I didn't get. But if you want to hang out with people who are, you know, stashing down, we're also going to be doing a quarterly KAL. It's going to be like a super low-key, no-impact thing where you pick a project each quarter and you make it. And it doesn't matter what you pick. Could be a sweater, could be a hat, could be a whatever. But the goal is just to pick something from your stash, pick a pattern, and get to work. So if that sounds interesting to you, the Discord link to the server is going to be in the description box. I'm always like, leave a comment in the description box, and that's not correct. The Discord link is going to be in the description box. So if that's something that you might be interested in, if you just want to chat with people who are also stashing down, feel free to come on over. The next time you see me, I've already ordered it. The next time you see me, there's going to be a light box somewhere here. I'm going to put it here somewhere. And it's going to have the number of yards I have left to get done for the year. So there's always going to be a looming reminder over my shoulder of what I'm up to. So we'll see. That might be a good thing or a bad thing. There's some days that I might look at it and I might panic a little bit. And other days I'm going to be like, yeah, girl, you're doing good work. So we'll see. But by the next time you see me, not the next time, because the next time is the Fleece Stash Tour. By 2023, there will be a light box and it will have how much yards I have left to move out of my stash to meet my goal. I'm really, really excited about this. Also, highly recommend you check out Jackie at Woolen Oaks if you want to be inspired to like do your own yarn audit. I think especially for me, because my space is so small, I have so much squirreled away in random corners. Like I found a whole sweater quantity of yarn in my bedroom yesterday and I was like, who put this here? And Joshua was like, you. And I was like, yes, I know that I put it there, but also who put it there? So because it's all squirreled away in random places, I'm really relying on like my electronic note taking to keep me accountable. So I'm really hoping that I get 8 of these sweaters done. That's my goal. I have knit a whole sweater in 3 weeks, but I was like really, really focused. I was like, I need this by this day. I want this done. So I know it's doable and I'm giving myself leeway to do other things, which is why it's like 8 sweaters and not 12 sweaters, because that would be bananas. But we'll see what happens. And if I hit the 10,000 goal and I don't get all 8 sweaters done, then I've hit one of my goals. And if I hit none of those goals, then it was a grand old experiment and I had a great time doing it. So that's it. I'm done talking. Do the YouTube thing. Like, comment, subscribe. Tell me if you're joining the Great No Buy of 2023. Come on over into the Discord server and say hi. I am a hoot. Kendra is a hoot. Felicia is a hoot. And I'm really hoping that we'll build a really fun little community on the Discord server where everyone's going to be sharing what they're making and what they're not buying. And if you're not doing a no buy, but you're still interested in doing a stash down, then choose your own adventure. And if you're not interested in doing any of those things, I hope you follow along on my escapades as I leave all the gorgeous fleeces behind and make an effort to, oh, but for the record, there are caveats in the great no buy of 2023. I just want to say, because it would be silly of me to not leave caveats. I'm going to Maryland Sheep and Wool. We're going ham. I'm going to Rhinebeck. We're going ham. So I left myself a little bit of wiggle room in there. And I also did reserve some fleeces for 2023 that I have to pay for because I reserved them. So it's not like a complete no buy, but it is a very low buy. Whatever. It is what it is. Thanks so much for hanging out with me. I hope you have a magical day. We are slowly and quickly at the same time approaching the new year. So let me know if you're making any plans for your making in 2023, and I'll see you for the next one. Bye for now.